Hi, and welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Uncovered, Three Things You Ought to Know. I'm Gabrielle Luma, CPA, CGMA, and CEO of Mod Ventures. I will be facilitating and joining in this discussion with Leslie Bolton, the Director of Channel Partnerships at Paychex, and Alex Valdez, Director of Retirement Services at Paychex also. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Mod Ventures. Mod Ventures is an outsourced accounting and advisory company for businesses across the United States. Our accounting team is fully virtual and has been since 2014. Our passion is to help entrepreneurs organize, create, and predict their financial futures. We believe that strong small businesses create financially stable communities. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I am so excited. Leslie, since we've known each other, I think it's been a little over a year, or is it two now? I think it's
It
two.
could be closer to two. Yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other for a while now. We met on the retirement community committee for the AICPA, and Paychex is the main provider for the services for the AICPA and CPAs within that network. And so we're so excited to finally have you on our show, and Alex, you too, coming on board and just giving us all the deets about 401k. So, Leslie, why don't you give us a little bit of information, more than obviously I just
Yeah.
shared, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So I've been at Paychex for 12 years now. I would say why retirement savings is a passion of mine is before I came to Paychex, I was a small business owner. And
Okay.
before I opened my small business, I liquidated my 401k funds to do that. And not until I joined Paychex did I start saving for retirement. So I lost a good, decade of compounded interest here that's critical for my retirement years. And so it is definitely something I'm passionate about. So excited to be here, not only from my own personal experience, but obviously passionate about what we do at Paychex as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I love that background. Business
Mm,
ownership, man, it's tough.
yeah, telling me.
That's the toughest job ever, if you want to call it a job, right?
Yeah.
Alex, how about you? Why don't you give us a little bit of background?
Oh, Gabby, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. And I've been at Paychex for about 17 years, all of them in the retirement space. So I am excited to share my knowledge about retirement with you and your viewers. And I come from a background in small town, a little small farm in Northwest New Mexico as the youngest kid of 12 kids growing up on a farm. And, all around me, I saw examples of people who were not prepared for retirement or weren't able to prepare for retirement. And especially in smaller communities, it's a big problem that we're able to help with. And it's just a good passion of mine that I'm looking forward to sharing with you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Well, I mean, today specifically, we're going to be talking about the Secure Act 2.0. And I think this is one of the newer things. I think the law actually was just passed December 27th
It
of
was, yes.
2023. Yeah, so I got that right. So it's a newer version of Secure Act. And I think it's definitely one of the things that a lot of people don't know a lot about. And so I really felt like this was an important thing to put out to our audience and to just provide also to our clients. I think we believe in investment. So invest back into yourself and your business as much as you can so that you can have that future. And so it's a big part of Mod and who we are. And so I'm so glad that we can talk about the Secure Act today. So, to kind of kick us off on the Secure Act, why don't you kind of give us the reasons why we need to know about this and what's so important about it?
Sure. Well, one of the things I'd like to take a step back and kind of go into the why behind the Secure Act. And I think it's really important. And honestly, it's because there's a retirement crisis in America. most Americans, I'd say the vast majority of Americans, are not prepared to be able to live comfortably for 20 to 30 years. They don't really have access to being able to even save for retirement. And there are statistics that are out there that 92% of employees want access to a retirement plan, but don't have access to a retirement plan. And, what Secure Act really does is it facilitates putting in place the opportunity for millions more of Americans to be able to save for their own retirement. And facilitate that. Social Security is probably not going to be around in the same way that it is today. And it's certainly not enough to be able to live off of, if that's your sole source of income. And the reality is, for most Americans, it really is their only source of income.
Sure.
And,
yeah, we see that a lot with our business owners that are coming in, and they're, have been in business for, decades, and they have not started a 401k plan, and they're really banking on selling their business at some point. And, for so many reasons, it's probably not the best way to, bank on your future, is to think that, you're going to get a certain value for your business. Now, yes, people are very successful and they do really well in some situations, but some businesses are becoming obsolete overnight. And so you have to consider, what that might look like in 10 years as well. Is like, what is the value? What is the value of your company going to be? So retirement is a necessary thing that you have to be looking at for, many years out.
You can't predict the future, but you can prepare for it.
Exactly.
And really, too many businesses are putting their, they're hoping that they will be prepared for retirement instead of making it a certainty.
Yeah. So I love, what the Secure Act has done for us, but, kind of like to understand a little bit more about the impact of the Secure Act and what it will do for us, as business owners. And so I know that is something that you prepared for us. So tell us all about what that might look like.
Sure. So Secure Act does a number of things to help facilitate business owners putting retirement plans in place for themselves and also for their employees. But the reality is that there are a lot of states that are out there that are requiring their employers to put these programs in place. So state mandates are being put into place. So not only is it because we have a retirement crisis that's out there, but also the federal government is realizing that there's a need for these to put out there, but the states are also recognizing that need and making it possible. But the state mandates are a little bit different because they are usually individual retirement accounts. And individual retirement accounts allow you to put a little bit away, but really what the Secure Act does is it encourages business owners to put full-fledged retirement plans in place, like a 401k.
All right, so that's a little bit different. Yeah, I've been hearing about states, really starting to impose these rules, and every state is different. So I feel like, having a federal law that kind of determines what we need to be doing or helps us as employers provide these services that states are already starting to, require us to do. So what are some of the states do you think that has been kind of at the forefront of really making retirement be the thing to do?
Well, there are over like half of all the states right now either have a mandate in place or have a proposed mandate that's coming into effect.
I see. Yeah, and there's a lot.
In my home state of California right now, they have implemented a program where every business that has one employee or more is required to have a retirement plan in place. So either from the state or from an employer-sponsored plan like a 401k as well. And so it's and many states that are out there like Illinois and Colorado, New York, Connecticut, like there are many states that are out there that have these similar law. Oregon is another state that has these that are already in effect, that are requiring business owners to put these plans in place for their employees.
Yeah.
So
and Alex, isn't there, sorry to chime in, but aren't there certain states that are also penalizing, right? So you say required or mandated, but I know states like California, they tend to not play around. So, I've definitely heard from employers that they're facing fines and penalties for not putting it in place.
They are. They like state of California has gives you a 90-day grace period from when you the deadline actually for 5 employees and above was last June. And so they gave them a 90-day grace period before they were imposing fines of $250, but then they escalate from there of over $500 per employee if they don't have it in place by after 6 months. So and we're starting to see those penalties go out to business owners now.
Yeah. I would imagine they always delay it, 6 months to a year. And then all of a sudden you get these notices and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Because you didn't know about these requirements. I think that happens a lot more. It's probably more of a norm than, right?
It is. It really is.
Yeah. So, some of the things that I guess you could do to get ahead of these state mandates and potential penalties is to start looking at these options for your employees now instead of, waiting until you have to.
Yeah. So most of the states mandated programs are usually something like an individual retirement account. So, but the requirement is that the employer is required to be responsible for making sure that those deductions get deposited in there and they get deposited timely. And most of these individual retirement accounts that the states have in general are Roth contributions.
Yeah.
So Roth contributions are post-tax, and IRAs have smaller contribution limits, usually around $6,000 per employee. Because they're also Roth, it really limits the higher income employees from being able to contribute because of the limits there.
Right.
So, and then just the burden that it puts on employers for facilitating this. I mean, most small business owners already wear enough hats.
Yeah.
So to have one more thing that they have to keep track of and make sure that they are getting out to their employees, it can be quite the hassle.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at our notes here, and for all of you that are tuning in, we want to make sure that there's going to be a full deck with notes that really covers all of these details. So you don't have to necessarily take notes because we have them for you. But, on these notes specifically, you're talking about, state facilitated programs are essentially, like you said before, they're Roth IRAs. There's limits on all of those things. That employers are to automatically enroll their employees. So they have to automatically enroll them. It's mandated based on size of the business. You can allow your workers to opt out by contributing to opt out of contributing via payroll deduction. So they can opt out.
Right.
But the employer has to do it. Okay. And then the investment firms and investments are chosen by the state. So you don't really have a lot of options as far as how you want to invest your money. You just have to do whatever they're telling you have to do.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. And and your last point here is basically, all the additional administrative work that we have to do as business owners, just one more thing that we have to check the box on and keep track of. And I think that's so often why penalties and those things happen, is because we just have too many things to keep up with as far as, compliance is concerned. So give us a little bit of ideas on what the difference is between these state facilitated funds and then the actual, like what a 401k does, because I know there's big difference between contributions and a little more control, I think. But you tell us.
A little bit more control, a lot more control,
Okay.
because especially over the investment piece. But really, what it does is going back to how we started the conversation about the retirement crisis that we have here in America. And even though contributing to an individual retirement account at $6,000 is a lot of money,
Yeah.
it's probably, if you're starting later in life, it's probably still not enough to be able to last you for 20 to 30 years whenever you get to retirement age. So the first thing that a 401k does is allows you to contribute more into your on your behalf, to be able to save for retirement. And so the second thing is that it allows business owners to contribute on their employees' behalf. So that's a big thing, because most business owners are employees of their own company, right?
Right.
So they're contributing to themselves, not
Yeah.
only in the form of a match, but they can also do what's called profit sharing, which means that they can make sure that they're taking from their business and putting it in their own retirement account, not having to pay taxes on it to Uncle Sam,
Right.
saving it for themselves and their employees rather than giving it to the IRS.
Right.
So it allows them to do that. And then it does satisfy all of these mandatory state requirements. So if you have a 401k in place, you don't have to offer the state mandated plan. And, on top of that, we're in a very competitive labor market right now.
Yeah.
So unemployment is, even though there's a lot of noise that's going on in the macroeconomic environment right now, there's still a shortage of employees that are good employees that are out there. And the good ones want good benefits.
Right.
And a retirement plan is one of the top ones that is out there. And even, especially since the pandemic, it's even more important, because the pandemic helped us realize that so many people were not prepared to go into this event, much less retirement as well.
Yeah.
So there's
It's
that. Go ahead.
It's so funny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's so funny. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she is already thinking about retirement. Like, she is so much more aware of money and finances at such a much younger age than I ever even thought about. And so, like, she's already contributing to her IRA, and in making, small investments every single month. But I'm like, you're going to be a millionaire. And I think that's what it comes down to, is being able to be self-sufficient. And I think our younger generations are starting to see how it's going to be more beneficial for them to be self-sufficient, and not rely on, and you're right, as far as where we are with Social Security and all these other things, we just don't know what's going to be available and at what age. And so I think our younger generations are starting to think about investment differently. And this is something I think I'll dare say we're the same age group, but I think we thought about this and we're thinking about the future, right? Because it's closer, retirement's closer. But I don't know that we were quite as well versed in it as, and we didn't, we weren't aware of all the changes and things that are happening in the world. So I think, there's definitely an opportunity to, reach the younger generation, those millennials, those Gen Zs that are really aware and want to prepare, and they're responsible and very traditional in that mindset. So it's great that, if you're an employer and you have this available, it's something that's going to immediately set you aside from everywhere else.
Well, many of our parents, we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s. Many of our parents, they worked for companies that provided them with pensions, right?
Yeah.
Pensions aren't around anymore. It's
Right.
now really incumbent upon the individual to
Yeah.
really prepare for their own retirement. And they don't teach it in schools. It's
No.
funny you mentioned your daughter. Just last week, I went to the local high school over here. 5 years ago, when my son was graduating from high school, his teacher invited me in. She learned that I work with retirement plans, and she wanted me to come in and teach compounding interest to her class. And now she's invited me back every single year to go in and teach compounding interest. And I tell these 18-year-olds, like, you're about to go onto the world. as much as you can. You don't think you can put away a little bit? Put away a little bit. The single biggest factor in having a nest egg when you retire is time.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Well,
time. Time is the thing.
If you think about this new generation too, think about how accessible it is, right? When we were growing up, we didn't have iPhones, right? There weren't these apps where you can, buy and sell and trade and do all these things. And so their literacy on these topics is improved because our exchange of data has improved, right? And so it is now topping the list as one of the number one requested kind of employee benefits. So if you're not offering something to allow this next generation to save, you're missing out on a huge pool of talent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they're so smart. They're, digitally, what do they call them? Natives, digital natives. Like they've been doing this from the beginning. So,
absolutely.
It's a skill set that we need as business owners. I mean, our age group, I think we do a lot of technology ourselves, but they are that much better, better at that,
more proficient.
Yeah, there you go. More proficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
It would take me a day to learn a new app. They'll pick it up in, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how their brains work. It's just awesome. So we talked a little bit about 401k and the benefits to employers to having those, and also how it might even cover them with state mandates, which it does. It covers them so that they're completely secure with that type of compliance. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on what the Secure Act 2.0 actually provides? Because I think this is a huge benefit.
This is a huge benefit. So it acknowledges that there's a retirement crisis, in America, but it also provides incentives for small business owners to be able to provide a retirement plan for their employees in the form of tax credits.
Yeah.
So there's really 3 tax credits that are available to business owners to facilitate setting up a retirement plan. The first and foremost is a tax credit for up to $5,000 for establishing a retirement plan in each of the first 3 years. That's pretty significant. So there's a scale in which it goes, but it's up to $5,000 for each of the first 3 years to offer a retirement plan for your employees, and that's pretty huge. That's one of the barriers to entry is people think that they're difficult to manage and that they are expensive to offer. So it takes that off of the table.
So you're saying essentially $15,000?
Yes, $15,000.
Wow.
In that tax credit.
Mm-hmm. That one alone. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the only one. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
So there's a tax credit for having automatic enrollment on your 401k. So offering it automatically to your employees. And we know that momentum is usually the thing that prevents employees from enrolling in there. They don't want to look stupid, but if you enroll them, they are like, oh yeah, thank goodness I'm already in this. And 2 or 3 years later, they're thanking you for automatically enrolling them in there. So it's a $500 credit for each of the first 3 years, another $1,500.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think before it was like $5,000 only I forget what the credit was before, but I think you only got like $500 as a tax credit before.
Initially it was 500, and then Secure Act, the original Secure Act, the OG Secure Act, was up to 50% of your plan expenses, up to $5,000, and now it's 100% of your plan expenses up to $5,000.
Wow,
so it's huge.
Yeah, it's amazing. Great.
The third tax credit is really a game changer here. It really allows business owners to offer this to their employees and encourage their employees to contribute. And the tax credit is $1,000 per employee for matching their employees up to 5 years. So it tapers out after 3 and then 4 and 5, but honestly, like $1,000 per employee in each of the first 5 years, that's a game changer to get people enrolled and incentive to match your employees.
Well, I mean, I just see that as a competitive advantage for smaller employers as well, because,
Absolutely.
sometimes they're really competing for talent, and it might be just a matter of like $10,000 difference in salary. And, if you get these credits that you can apply towards other areas to make up for maybe a little more salary, then it's, game changer for you. So
It
I
really
love that.
is.
I think that's awesome.
And you mentioned like earlier, you said, we were talking about how the war for talent is out there,
Yeah.
and so some of these employees, they know that they're supposed to be doing something, but it's usually like, I work for this company, and then I get married, and then I
Yeah.
have kids, and at each one of those life points, they know that they're supposed to be thinking about their future, but they don't know what to do. And
Right.
so if you can be the employer of choice that helps your employee to do this, how much loyalty will that gain
Yeah.
from your
Of
employee?
course.
Yeah. That's
Makes a
amazing.
stickier employee. Right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's what we're all going for, right? Reduce the amount of
Absolutely.
turnover, elongate the growth and career path. That sort of thing is super important. Um, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, and I'm looking at a few other key employee benefits that might even be an option for part-time employees.
Yeah. So part of Secure Act 2.0 is to make uh, make access to retirement even more available. So it
Okay.
Secure Act 2.0 will make it available to part-time employees down to 500 hours. If they work 500 hours per year in each of the first 3 years, they can become eligible to put their own funds in. So you think about a lot of these employees who are, you know, have multiple part-time jobs at multiple places. This
Yeah,
is a way that they can help start to secure their own retirement.
that's cool. I love that.
And there's either another provision in Secure Act 2.0 that potentially down the road employers can start matching in the form of helping their younger employees pay off their student loans.
Wow.
Yes.
That's going to be amazing. I mean, I see that starting in 224 or 2024. Um, but I mean, that's one of the biggest things too. It's like the student loan crisis and how, everybody is trying to figure out how to pay back their student loans. And so
It's huge. It's
huge.
huge. And
Yeah.
then for older Americans, it pushes back the mandatory required minimum distributions up to age 73. So if they want to work more and contribute more, they can without having to start to take more. So there's a lot of good that is in the Secure Act 2.0. And really the bottom line is that it helps start to address the retirement crisis that we have here in America. And people want to be able to provide for themselves, provide for their own dignified retirement whenever they
Right.
get to that age.
Yeah. Well, I 100% agree. Like, as you mentioned before, like, um, our parents essentially have the pensions, have the retirement fund, have multiple, buckets to kind of draw from. And I think that we've seen that change over time, right? Especially with our generation. And so, you mentioned having a dignified retirement. You mentioned, things changing in the economy and just the different things that we're dealing with. I mean, we're also a very highly educated generation, and they're becoming that much more educated. So I think there's so many wonderful, I mean, there's so many positives to the future. We just need to know how to implement those new things to kind of take the place of the pension, right? What we used to have. So I think there's transition in the world happening, and we're all trying to figure out how to navigate that new.
The single biggest thing is that prevents business owners from doing something is they don't know what to do.
Right.
So now we know that there are resources that are out there, and all you have to do is ask for help, and we can help facilitate putting this in place. don't let that be the reason why you don't have something in retirement. And,
Yeah.
because of compounding interest, the
Yes.
longer you put it off, the steeper that hill is to climb.
Yeah. My daughter has informed me of that many, many times. She was searching for the highest interest rate bank account just recently. So
Smart. I like
Yeah,
it.
I was going to say the same thing.
you'd think she'd be in a CPA someday, but she doesn't want to. She wants to go into healthcare. So anyway, she'll be a really financially savvy healthcare provider.
Perfect. We need those too.
We need those too. So one of the last slides that you have in here is a hypothetical plan of what it might look like. And so, maybe discussing what that might look like from your perspective as well. I would love to hear, your thoughts around.
Really, what it does is it shows the what we were just talking about, how compounding interest can have an impact on how much you have when you get to retirement age. And the example that we have in the notes is somebody who starts at age 35 and contributes, about $12,000 between their own contributions and the employer contributions to their retirement over 30 years. So retiring at age 65.
Mm-hmm.
So over the course of that 30-year period of time, they would have $837,000 saved up for retirement. And that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's great. But if they were to wait 1 year and only have 29 years, they would have $51,000 less in their retirement account. Not $12,000 less, $51,000 less. That's the power of time and compounding interest.
Right. Well, and I was just, I have to note this too. It's like it's mentioned here at 5% annual return. I mean, the return is usually much, much higher, right? And so for sure, a millionaire, or close to multi with, better performing, funds. So you definitely want to take advantage of that instead of staying within those state regulated, funds. So another reason to jump to Paychex, or encourage your employers to jump to Paychex to make sure that they're taking advantage of all those wonderful benefits that you guys support small business owners and business owners in general with. So in summary, Alex, I'd love for you to just kind of go over the three main points and kind of conclude with how the best way that we can get a hold of you guys, if our small business owners want to, jump on a call or reach out.
Yeah. Sure. Do you want me to take that, Alex?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great. So I want to feel useful while I'm sitting here, right? Alex is doing the heavy lifting. Certainly the subject matter expert. So thank you, Alex. But I think, just in summary, what we talked about today is that there is a savings and retirement crisis. That is what spawned all of this Secure Act and Secure Act 2.0, right? Yeah. And so with increased states requiring establishing a retirement plan, now is the time, right? Now is the time to assess how you can implement for not only good attraction of future talent, but to retain your current talent and also get some great tax credits and benefits for establishing a new plan. Yeah. So Paychex, we are the largest provider of 401k plans in the country. Not very well known. I think our name suggests we're only in the payroll business, but we are the largest provider of 401k plans, and specifically because we specialize in that hand-holding of startups. And so we are here to help support business owners, small or large. And we have an interactive map, Gabby, I'll make sure to get to you so that if you're questioning, what about my state? What's going on in my state? You can plug that in, and also we'll share my contact information. So if anyone's interested to learn more, they can reach out to me directly.
Awesome. I love it. Well, you guys, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for, coming on the show and telling everybody about the Secure Act 2.0 and just all the benefits of that our small business owners can really take advantage of and really support their employees, because that's what it's about, right? It's just helping people. Right. That's what we're here to do. We're helping people, and so it's a passion of mine. I believe in it. That's why I do the show, is because I feel like there's lots of opportunity to provide great information and connect people to just better our lives. So if you're tuning in now, or you've been with us the whole time, good for you. If you could just push the thumbs up button and give us a thumbs up and tell us that we're doing a great job, and and subscribe, that would be great. We put out a new video every other week, and we'll have information on how to get a hold of ModVentures as well within the show notes. And so we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. You guys have a great week.